All right, let's talk about something that can totally change whether your ideas get heard or just ignored. It's called the golden sequence of communication, and it's all about making sure you actually get what you want out of a conversation.
I mean, it's a feeling we all know, right? You've put in the work, you know your idea has merit, but when you share it, crickets. It's like you're speaking a different language, and you're just left there feeling totally unheard.
And this right here is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. You think you're offering helpful feedback, but what they hear is a personal attack. That gap between what you meant and what they heard, that's where teamwork breaks down. And that's the gap we're going to close today.
So what's really going on here? Why does this happen so often? We usually think the problem is our words. Maybe we need more data or better slides. But what if I told you the problem isn't the what at all?
Yeah, it really does all boil down to the sequence. See, great communication isn't about just dumping a bunch of facts on someone and hoping for the best. It's more like you're building a staircase, guiding them step by step to the same conclusion you've reached. The order of your ideas changes everything. Okay, so if the order is the secret sauce, what's the right order? Let's dive into the heart of this whole thing. A really simple but incredibly powerful 3-step framework that's designed to make sure you're not just heard, but actually agreed with.
And here it is. It looks so simple, right? But trust me, this is a game changer. The key is, you don't start with your big idea. Nope. You start with common ground, something you know they'll agree with. Then, you bring in the objective facts. And only then, at the very end, do you make your pitch. Basically, you're building a bridge of agreement before you ever ask them to walk across it with you.
So let's get into the psychology of why this works so well. When you start with something they already agree with, their guard immediately comes down. Then, when you move to neutral facts, you build up your credibility. By the time you get to your actual request, they're way more open to hearing you out.
But here's the thing. You can't just wing this. You can't just walk into a meeting and try to use this sequence on the fly. The real magic actually happens before you even open your mouth. It's all in the prep work.
And that prep work really boils down to 2 things you just can't skip. First, you got to know exactly what you want to achieve, and second, you have to understand who you're talking to. Get these 2 things right, and you're already halfway there. So, before you say a single word, ask yourself, what does a win look like here? What's the point of this conversation? Are you trying to persuade them, get information, solve a fight? When you know your goal, you stop rambling. Everything you say has a purpose. Okay, this next part is all about empathy. Who are these people? What do they actually care about? What keeps them up at night? I mean, think about it. You're not going to talk to your boss the same way you talk to your direct reports, right? And remember, tailoring your message isn't about being manipulative. It's just smart, respectful communication. All right, so you've done your homework, you know your goal, and you know your audience. So what do you actually say? How do you package your ideas so they're not just heard, but are easy to understand? Now, this first rule might feel a little backwards, but stick with me on this. Get right to the point. Lead with your conclusion. Say something like, my recommendation is we do X, and here are the 3 reasons why. It shows you respect their time, and it gives them a roadmap for the rest of what you're about to say. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to solve a mystery novel in the middle of a meeting. And what's super cool about this is that it gives you these plug-and-play frameworks for your logic. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Trying to sell an idea? Use problem, solution, benefit. It's simple and powerful. Just giving a quick update? Status, challenge, action is your best friend. It tells everyone exactly where you are and what you need from them. Okay, so you've prepped, you've structured your message, but you're not done yet. Now comes the hard part. Guiding the actual conversation in real time to make sure it actually goes somewhere.
Remember, this is a conversation, not a monologue. You got to pay attention to their reactions. Are they leaning in or checking their phone? You have to pause and ask questions like, does this make sense so far, or what are your initial thoughts on that? And hey, if you get some pushback, the single best thing you can do is repeat their point back to them. It proves you're actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk again.
This is absolutely crucial. Never, ever in an important conversation without clarity. Because honestly, a conversation without a clear next step is just noise. You need to lock down the specifics. Who's doing what and what's the deadline? That's what turns talk into action.
So let's just pull back and look at the big picture here. The average communicator just thinks about what they want to say. Their message is all over the place.
But the pro, they're obsessed with their audience, with having a clear structure, and with making sure everyone is on the same page. This isn't about being slick, it's about being effective.
And that, right there, brings us to the most important part of all of this. Because knowing this stuff is one thing. Actually using it is where the change happens. So think about your week ahead, that tough conversation you've been putting off, that big presentation. Which conversation will you transform with this golden sequence?